Madam President, members of the Congress Bureau, ladies and gentlemen. Cooperation between the Council of Europe and the Republic of Armenia has been progressing nicely. Efforts aimed at improving local democracy and strengthening it have always taken pride of place on the agenda for our cooperation activities. It's important to underscore the very effective and constant support we've received in terms of expertise and advice provided by the Council of Europe.
Sorry, Minister, we have translation problems. Wir haben Probleme mit der Übersetzung. Ich habe gelesen, dass Sie Deutsch sprechen. So, you hear something? Can we try again? Is it good? Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry, Minister. Es tut mir leid.
What's most important to underscore is the constant and effective support we've received in terms of methodology, advice and expertise. This has been provided by the various Council of Europe bodies and have assisted us in implementing democratic principles at the local level in Armenia. This has been invaluable support to our local authorities, helping us to compare what we're doing with international standards. Today, we're strengthening local democracy. We're developing it. And this is high on the agenda for the cooperation between the Council of Europe and Armenia. Armenia has made a commitment to implement Recommendation 351 on local and regional democracy in Armenia. This was adopted by the Congress on 26th of March 2014. This attests to our determination to take part in a post-monitoring program together with other member states of the Council of Europe. For instance, Moldova, Ukraine, Georgia, and Portugal. In 2016, on the 9th of June, together with the President of the Congress, Jean-Claude Fricon, in Yerevan, we signed a roadmap on the implementation of Recommendation 351 on local democracy in Armenia. On the 8th of December 2015, the Armenian National Assembly ratified Articles 5, 6, 7.2 and 10.3 of the European Charter for Local Self-Government, therefore making it compulsory for Armenia to implement all of the Charter's provisions. Having implemented Provision 11 of Article 7 of Recommendation 351, the Armenian government has demonstrated its willingness and its determination to introduce democratic instruments for the promotion of local democracy. Since February 2014, with the support of the Danish government, Armenia implemented a program called Support for the Consolidation of Local Democracy in Armenia. We've provided support to the development of local administrations, built local authorities' capacity, and strengthened the leadership skills of local authority staff. We've also benefited from legal advice and expertise of the Council of Europe as we've embarked on local authority reform. This has helped us to kickstart administrative and territorial reforms, as well as to build local authority capacity. As things stand, we're working very effectively so as to implement the various steps as set forth in the program. With the due consideration given to the Congress's proposals, according to which there are many small, weak municipalities, and this remains a problem as there is an imbalance between the various local authorities. This limits the capacity of municipalities in terms of what services they can provide. In response to all this, in 2014, the Armenian government kick-started an administrative and territorial reform program. Steps are being taken to merge certain municipalities and to decentralize and devolve certain powers. Today, we can already say that we've made great strides forward in terms of merging various municipalities. Furthermore, Armenian legislation on territorial and administrative divisions and local autonomy were introduced. Following the mergers of some municipalities, we now have 793 municipalities instead of 915 previously. 18 new municipalities were created following the mergers. We stand convinced that municipality mergers will help municipalities to strengthen their powers and to beef up their governance systems. Citizen participation in local authority activities attests to the fact that citizens are increasingly interested in what their local representatives are doing. This is helping to strengthen local democracy. We're paying a lot of attention to decentralization, building up local authority capacity, introducing principles of participation and transparency, and we also are trying to improve the quality of services provided. Against this backdrop, the establishment of municipal councils and the improvement of the effectiveness of these councils are of utmost importance. Over the last few years, a number of steps were taken so as to beef up financial mechanisms, local tax raising, and in order to entrench all of this in legislation. Our objective is to make sure that our municipalities are financially viable. We want large municipalities in particular to enjoy stable finances. We want equitable and transparent local authorities. We also want the local authorities to resolve all of the issues their citizens face, working hand in hand with local authorities. 3 days ago, the Armenian National Assembly adopted a law on these new financial mechanisms. This was discussed at length and amended in cooperation with the Council of Europe. We're very pleased that the Council of Europe has been able to make a contribution to the adoption of this law. On the 17th of May 2015, a local referendum was held. This was the first such referendum in Armenia. The municipalities which were the subject of the referendum underwent mergers and then held elections for local representatives. This year we had new elections in Armenia, and this went in hand with the municipality merger process. In 2016, mayoral elections and local council elections were held in many municipalities. The majority of mayors were re-elected. Roughly 75% were re-elected. Amongst the members who were elected for the first time, 18 are heading up municipalities which recently underwent mergers. And we have 2 women amongst these mayors, so that's 1.4%, and this is in the merged municipality. So in total, we have 60 municipalities led by women out of 793. That's 2.2%. On the 18th of September and the 2nd of October, municipal council elections were held in 632 municipalities. Amongst over 5,700 candidates, we had 10.8% of women candidates. That's roughly 85% of them were elected. So women make up 11.5% of elected local councillors. That's 3.2% higher than after the previous election. Currently in our municipalities, we have 11.3% of women councillors. The election of the mayor of Amasya in the Chirac region is most remarkable. This mayor will head up a new municipality of 5,500 citizens, and this municipality was formed following the merger of 9 small municipalities. I'd like to highlight that women's involvement in training of local authorities is for the time being not very high, and this is something we're going to work to resolve in the future. On the 25th of May, following the amendments and additions made to the electoral law and the law on local authority, aside from Yerevan, in 2 other major cities, in Gyumri and Banazor, elections of municipal council members were held, and this was done based on a proportional system. Political parties and political party coalitions registered in the Republic of Armenia took place in these elections. So on the 2nd of October 2016, in Gyumri and Vanadzor, municipal councillor elections were held for the very first time under this proportional system. Now, according to our observations, starting from the registration of candidates all the way through to withdrawals, were held in line with the rules. Therefore, we saw a lot of competition in a number of municipalities. There were candidates from different political parties, and also we had independent candidates. Now, it's very encouraging for our citizens to be able to choose who represents them. It's also worthwhile noting that the election results were accepted by all of the participants. I believe that local authority elections were free and fair and were held in a competitive fashion. This, on the whole, reflects the position and the preferences of the constituents. I hope that the monitoring mission of the Congress and the Chamber of Local Authorities will agree with our assessment of the situation. Now, despite all of these things on the positive side of the ledger, there are also a number of problems which we're confronting. We're looking to resolve them, working hand in hand with our international partners. What are these problems? First and foremost, we need to strengthen political party and civil society participation in the process of training local authorities. Secondly, we need to consider various proposals put forward by international experts and NGOs on the election of local authorities via elections. And thirdly, our third challenge is greater participation. We're well aware that the key to achieving economic success in Armenia is territorial development. It is for that reason that we want our country to develop in a balanced manner. This is a priority for our government. Some of our regions, our rural areas, require special attention. We're trying to create an enabling environment so as to improve the quality of life of the people residing there. The Council of Europe has backed the policy course which we're following. Now, the support can be seen in the new 4-year action plan, 2015 to 2018, which seeks to develop local democracy in Armenia. This document will, without a doubt, help us to improve the effectiveness of our work aimed at strengthening local democracy and will also help us to step up our decentralization efforts. We're very pleased with how the Congress of Regional and Local Authorities of the Council of Europe has been cooperating with Armenia. In 2016, Armenia has been celebrating the 20th anniversary of its local authorities. Now, if we cast our minds back, if we look at how long we've come, how far we've come over the last 20 years when it comes to local democracy, it can be said without a doubt that our local autonomy system is well established. Now, what is our goal for the future? We want our local authorities to have greater financial resources and greater responsibilities. This will build citizen trust in local authorities and the powers bestowed upon them. For the time being, the level of trust is not satisfactory. Esteemed colleagues, I'd like to avail myself of this opportunity to extend my gratitude to the Secretariat of the Congress of the Council of Europe. Thank you for extending to the end of the year the program aimed at supporting local democracy consolidation in Armenia, for extending the support to local autonomy development, for capacity building of local authorities and skills building for local authorities. Considering just how impressive the results have been, the results of this program, and what we need to do in the future, I'd like to turn to the Secretariat with a proposal for putting together a new program for the coming years. If you'll permit, I'd like to once again express a heartfelt gratitude to the Congress of Regional Local Authorities of the Council of Europe, to all of the Council of Europe bodies. Thank you for giving us so much attention and for your staunch support for our democratic development process. Thank you very much for your gracious attention.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lokyan. You have kindly agreed